Hello, I am back, and today I'm going to be talking about the wonderful thing that is being an introvert. And I've got 14 signs for you that you may well be a fellow introvert the same way as I am. Now, you may be confused by me saying that I'm an introvert because if you don't know me personally and you only know me from my socials and you only know me from things like this, I come across, or I can come across, as loud, a bit extroverted, a bit confident, certainly not shy. So I feel this is where the confusion comes in when we talk about introvert versus extrovert. So if you're not sure which one you are, if you're not sure if you're an introvert, or if you're not sure if you're an extrovert, or even an ambivert, whatever that means. Honestly, I get totally confused by the whole ambivert thing. So if you know what it means, or if you are one, please tell me. Otherwise, I'm going to have to Google it, and Google doesn't always give you the right answers, does it? So, yeah, tell me below if you think you're an ambivert or you know more about ambiversion or any kind of other vert that may be out there in the world. Please tell me, because it confuses me. So, for the purpose of this, we're just going to go introvert versus extrovert, and mainly introvert because that is what I am. So, if you feel a little different, if you feel a little quieter than most people, if you sometimes feel even a little weird compared to other people, socially inept, a little bit socially awkward, that's me, totally, hold my hands up, can be socially awkward. That's me. That is my definition. And if you are that, but you don't feel shy, or you don't feel that you back off from certain situations that you feel that shy people may not have, you could be an introvert and not actually know it. So first of all, what is an introvert? Now, I looked at the definition of introvert in the dictionary, and what it actually said, the true definition of an introvert is a shy, reticent person. Now, I'm not 100% sure that that's correct, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more within this. Whereas if you Google an introvert, it says an introvert is often thought of as a quiet, reserved, and thoughtful individual. They do not seek out special attention, nor do they seek out special social engagements, as these kind of scenarios can lead introverts to feel exhausted and drained. Introverts are the opposite of extroverts. Extroverts are often described as the life of the party. That to me is much, much more where I feel my personal definition of an introvert versus an extrovert is. When I think about myself, when I think about my character traits, that was it. That paragraph, that comment, that's it, that's me. Not the shy, reticent person that was the actual dictionary definition. My personality as an introvert is that I am completely and utterly charged and energized by being alone, as opposed to an extrovert who get filled up with energy and zing and passion when they are surrounded by people. I like to find my calm in quiet, in solitude, in calmness, in atmospheres that feel warm and calm. Calm is a great word for it. Whereas I think extroverts like the woohoo of situations. We introverts, we like to go deep. We are not surface level. We like to have the meaningful conversations and the meaningful friendships and be in the meaningful situations. We're all about the feeling, right? We are all about the emotion. That is the energy. We are sparked by the feeling and the emotion. It's a definite internal thing. It's massively internal rather than this external thing like parties and people and busy. But that being said, I do love the buzz of a city. And if you know me and you've sort of listened to things that I say before, I'm totally at home. I'm much more of a big city person and having that buzz and that busy around me than I am sort of country and nature. And so I'm a kind of a walking contradiction, but I'm going to get into that. So you'll see what I mean when we go deeper with this. Okay, introverts, let's just start with this. Introverts go inward, extroverts are energized by being outward, by being social, by being around people. So anyway, enough of the chatter, enough of that. Before I go off on too many other tangents, let's do the 14 signs, my personal 14 signs. And this may not be everybody's 14, they're just my personal ones. And if any of these resonate with you, if any of these feel like you, if you kind of go, yeah, that's me, right? You could well be a closet introvert. So as we go through them, tick them off and let's see how many you get. So the first sign for me that you may well be an introvert is that you absolutely hate, and I know that hate is a strong word, but honestly for me it's so true, right? You hate with a passion small talk. Honest to God, it is my worst nightmare. I have this fear of small talk. It gives me this horrible energy. And that said, I'm good at it, right? I can do it, but it fills me with dread. It fills me with all the horrible feelings that I don't like to feel. And I guess to sort of qualify that a bit more, when I was younger, when I was kind of, a child or a teen or even my early 20s, and I wasn't so self-aware, I wasn't good at it. Like I seriously was not good at the small talk. I think being good at it has come from experience, has come from growth, has come from self-reflection. It's probably an age thing. It's probably a maturity thing, to be fair. But yeah, when I think about having to be in a situation where I'm going to have to do the small talk, I hyperventilate. I avoid it at all costs. I get clammy hands. I start to feel this horrible anxiety come over myself. I feel it in my body. It's like it's a physical thing as opposed to just like a mental dread. I find it really superficial and I don't want to do that. I like to go deep. I like to have the conversations that are real, that are authentic, that are actually full of emotion. Right, here again is where I'm a contradiction in kind of what I'm saying. I love to talk. Right? Anybody who has watched one of my videos or listened to one of my podcast episodes or seen me somewhere around, I will talk till the cows come home. I can waffle on like the best of people. But if you put me in a one-on-one situation, I cannot do the small talk thing. I don't like it. I like to have a topic. I like to have an emotion behind what I'm saying. It has to be authentic. It has to be full of feeling and it has to have meaning and emotion and depth. Does that make sense? I hope it did. So anyway, small talk. Don't like it. Never have. And you may well think, well, you sit here in front of, the camera or on social media or whatever it is, wherever you are catching this, and you'll talk to people. You are talking to hundreds and potentially thousands of people. But you know what the reality is, and the reason I think that I find this stuff okay is because in my world, I'm not talking when I do these things. I'm not talking to hundreds and thousands of people. I am sat with me and a camera. So I am in a one-on-one situation where I am literally talking to myself. And I am picking the topic and I come at it with authenticity and with feeling and with emotion. And so I think that's why this doesn't feel like hard to me. That's why this stuff is actually okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Sign number 2 that you may well be an introvert is that you love alone time. You actually love being by yourself. And I have confession time. If any of my friends or my family or listening or watching or have come across this, my confession to you is that I secretly love it when you cancel your plans with me. I do. A lot of people, they get all, yay, we're going out. It's fantastic. I'm going to go to that big gathering. I'm going to see the family. I'm going to see my friends. It's going to be woohoo. And then they cancel and they're like, it's not me. When my friends cancel, I'm like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God, because I've been hyping myself up to go to the social event and to do the thing, that when they cancel, I kind of go, oh, now I get to sit on the couch at home with my cat and just watch some mind-numbingly boring reality TV and just be alone with my thoughts. It is the best feeling. It's the best thing in the world. And I would say that pretty much all extroverts like spending time by themselves. It's a recharge. It's a time where we get drained by being around people and being in too many people's energies, and it kind of overstimulates us. And so that alone time, that time when we can just sit in solitude, that's the recharge time. That's the time that we power ourselves up again, if you like, and feel okay to get back out in the world and be a little bit more social. It's the time when we feel the most comfortable. And again, right, it doesn't have to be in somewhere totally quiet, like, the forest. Again, taking my own personal situation, I love being out in nature, but I'm equally happy in the buzz of a city. That can actually supercharge me and recharge my energy as well, because I may be in the city and I may be feeling the buzz and the vibe, but in reality, I'm just there in my head. I'm there alone, and I'm actually observing and looking and people watching, and that's solitude. That's time where I'm just in my own thoughts and I'm recharging. So it doesn't have to be that we're sat somewhere totally silent like in meditation. I can get equally recharged in a meditation session as I can in the middle of a busy city, as long as I'm alone and I'm not having to make small talk with people and actually be social. I think that's the key, right? That's the key. Now the third sign, my third sign that you are an introvert, or that you could be an introvert, is that you like to think. And you like to think a lot. A lot. You get lost in thought. You never stop thinking, ever. Like, my brain literally does not, and I don't think it can, literally switch off. I'm always wondering, I'm always pondering, I'm always replaying things. I'm always thinking, what did I say that for? If I said that, did somebody take it the wrong way? Oh my God, what did that mean? What does that person think of me? What if she thinks I meant this and I didn't? I meant this. And my mind will go on and it will go on and it will go on. And when I'm not in that hypercritical, overthinking place, I'm still thinking because I'm dreaming and I'm visualizing and I'm replaying this world that I want to have in my head. And so I get lost in my imagination and I get taken to totally different places. I'm not in my real world anymore. I'm in some other life that I want to have. But the internal dialogue never actually stops. And that, I just want to say, can sometimes be a negative thing for introverts, because we tend to get stuck in our heads. We tend to get stuck in what's happened. We tend to get stuck in this negative spiral. And I think the overthinking can take us down a path sometimes where insignificant things can literally make us spiral out of control. And if that's you, you need to get better at the self-reflection thing, or take some time out, go to your happy place. Don't let those thoughts get hold. Go somewhere that makes you feel good. Have that solitude, have that recharge time. Again, in a book. It could be in a book, it could be in a film, it could be in just sitting in meditation, it could be going to sleep even. Just take yourself away from the overthinking. That can be a constant battle. That's one of the downfalls. Okay, my fourth sign is that you observe. You observe and you see things differently and in more depth than an extrovert might. You take notice. You see all the little nuances of places. You may not always speak about them or say them. You may not speak your mind at all, because that can make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but you are observing everything. You are constantly looking. You are constantly paying attention to all of the detail that surrounds you. You can see things and places and people for what they actually are, and you can read a room. You can read their energy. You have lots of clarity and attention to detail. And if that's you, then you may well be an introvert. And number 5 signs that you may be an introvert is that, and we've touched on this a little, is that socializing drains the hell out of you. You are not a fan of parties. You're not a fan of office get-togethers. You don't even like Christmas dinners with the family or weddings sometimes, because it can fill you with dread if you don't know how many people are going to be there, if you're going to have a special person there that you can just be with in that one-on-one. You don't feel in control. Big social gatherings and social occasions can scare you because you feel like you may lose control of a situation. You are perfectly capable of having a good time. You are perfectly capable of enjoying a party and a social gathering. You just would prefer to be sat in the corner somewhere having a deep and meaningful conversation with somebody who you really trust and love and admire, or observing it all from a distance. You could be in the middle of that wedding, but you're sat at your table, and rather than engaging in the small talk, you are just observing, you're people watching. You are somewhere in your own head, not getting lost in the pandemonium of the big chatter and the noise. You are regrouping and regathering your thoughts, and you quite often will take yourself off somewhere during social occasions like that. I know this is something I've done on many occasions when I've been in big social gatherings and I've felt myself getting a little bit agitated. I'll take myself off to the toilet, or I'll go and sit in the garden, or I'll find another room somewhere where I can just sit and I can regroup and I can regather and I can just get my thoughts back into control and actually feel okay to then go back in and be a little bit social again. And the other thing is, and this has been a huge one for me over the years, and something that I'm good at now, but it took a lot of time to be confident enough to actually say when it was time to leave, when I'd had enough, when I didn't want to be there anymore, because I reached a point in the social gathering where I was so drained and so overstimulated, and everything was so loud and I was feeling so out of control that I had to leave. I had to literally go away and just be alone again, or with my people that I felt comfortable with. That could sometimes be after an hour, or it could be after 10 hours. But literally, I now know my point of no return. I know when I have to get out of there, and I have to be able to regroup myself, otherwise it will spiral and I'll feel totally wired and weird and just not very nice. And so that's that one. That's number 6. Number 7 is that you are an amazing listener. And what makes you an amazing listener is a couple of points we've talked about before. You're an overthinker, and you observe and you see everything. So if you put those things together, You are naturally reading people, reading situations, observing what's going on around you, feeling everything, thinking about it all. So you actively listen. You are a great listener. You may be that person that all of your friends come to for advice, that all of your friends come to for support, because you make them feel totally heard. It's not superficial for you. It's deep. It's intuitive. It's with emotion. It's with feeling. That makes you an amazing listener because it's all active. You're not passive in the friendship or the conversation at all. So yeah, you'd make an amazing coach. You'd make an amazing counsellor. You could well find yourself in those roles, those teaching professions where you are being asked to listen and to help and to feel it all. And talking about your friends, number 8 is that you will have a small group of friends. You will have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe really good friends, as opposed to having that massive group of acquaintances. You don't need to be surrounded by all the people. You are quite happy. In fact, you're massively happy just being with your really good close friends that you can get deep with, that you can have the conversations with, that you totally trust and that you totally feel at home with. Because with introverts, it's all about the feeling. If you don't feel it, you won't be able to totally be there. You kind of shut off when you don't feel it. And so you don't need the big social groups. You don't need to be seen with all the people. You're just okay with your special people, with those people that fill you up, the people that recharge you again. Number 9 on my list of signs that you may well be an introvert is that I covered this a little bit in the overthinking part, but you dream big. Your mind can see things. You're an amazing manifester, right? If you are an introvert, you may find that you are an amazing manifester, because the visualization part of manifesting, you have got that down pat. You know how to take yourself to another place and see it in clarity and color and detail. You can get totally lost in that other world. You see it in full technicolor, in full detail. Literally, you can visualize anything. As a child, you probably spent an awful lot of your time looking out windows daydreaming when you should have been doing something else, like maths. For example, not English, because probably you loved English because that's when you could let your imagination go again. You're writing your stories, and I'll cover that in a bit too. So yeah, visualizing, daydreaming, being. I have 2 worlds. I have the world that I live in, that is my physical world, and then I have the world that's in my head, which is the place that I love to escape to when I'm feeling like I just need a little bit of something, when I'm feeling a little bit off kilter, or when I'm feeling a little bit down, or when I'm feeling a little bit low. I go to the place in my head. I go to my dream world, my dream life, where everything is perfect. And I see it, and I live there, and I reside there quite often. Introverts, you will find, have that other world. They have the most amazing imaginations. And I touched on this slightly when I talked about English there, but my number 10 sign is that you love to write. Because you have this amazing imagination, and because you have this amazing visualization capacity, you can write down in great detail what you can see, you can write about. And for me, because I'm not particularly good at being in the hard conversations, like if I have an issue with a partner or a friend or a family member, if I was being asked to confront that person and talk about that issue, I get way too emotional. I start to overthink again, another introvert trait. I overthink it all. I feel it all. And I tend to just not I can't get my words out because the feelings take over. And so if I write it down, this is something I've found over the years. I personally write letters all of the time, because if I write it down, I can express it, I can say it, I can self-reflect as I'm writing it and not get caught up in the emotion of the situation or the conflict or whatever it is that I'm trying to do. And I get to say it properly. And I write it in detail, and I write it in clarity, and I write it with all the feeling, but without the crying, without the emotion that comes along with that. So yeah, you're brilliant at writing. English may well have been your favourite subject because stories, dream worlds, imagination, that was your thing. You would much rather write it down in a really well thought out, creative, reflective, emotion expressive story than you would doing drama, for example, and being the centre of attention on the stage with everybody looking at you and, you know, in that horrible, icky energy that just drains you again. So that was number 10. Number 11, and we've slightly touched on this, is that you're very intuitive. You know, you can read a room. I said this before. You can read a room, you can read feeling, you can read a situation, you can pick up on those little nuances that other people may not pick up on. And so that also makes you a good listener. You know, it makes you a good friend, because you could be with a friend or a family member or a person and you instantly know if they're okay or not, because you pick up on it. You don't even have to talk to them. You can feel it. You can see it in their body language. You can see it written on their face. So trust it. Trust the intuitiveness. Trust that what you're getting and what you're feeling is correct. Trust your gut, right? There's a reason why that is a saying. And that again is something I've learned to do much more over the years. And I think that also comes with confidence, and it comes with maturity, and it comes with lots and lots of self-reflection. Now, you know, if I read a room and I don't like the energy in a person or a place, I will leave. I will physically take myself out of that situation. Whereas before, I might have found myself staying somewhere I was really uncomfortable because I didn't have enough clarity or maturity or emotional nous, I guess, to actually know to listen and to leave and to remove myself from it, to safeguard myself. That's your intuition. Your intuition is always talking to you. You just have to learn to trust it. You have to learn to listen to it. And if it tells you to get out of there, then you run for the hills. Go. Just go. Don't stay. Because it will drain you in some way, or something will happen that you don't like. So that's number 11, you're intuitive. Number 12 is that you're highly sensitive. Highly sensitive. And this again comes to the, you know, the thinking, the feeling, the emotions that introverts have. You feel everything. Everything. There is no in between. You can be up here really high and down here really low within a matter of seconds. It's an emotional roller coaster being so highly sensitive to things and people and places and words. One of the things for me is that I could get up in the morning when I go back to my life as a person who saw myself as overweight and worthless and ugly and not having any nice redeeming qualities at all back in the day. I would get up in the morning and I could put on an outfit. Like, for example, I have a dress on today that, although you can't see much of it, I would never have worn something like this back in the day. Never. Because it's quite tight and it shows my figure. And I would have looked at myself in the mirror and I would have gone, you look awful. But on one of those off days that I maybe put it on and I went, yeah, it's okay. You look okay. It's presentable. Let's go out, right? And I'd go out and I'd be in a situation with somebody at work or socially or wherever I was, And there would be a nondescript comment. It probably wouldn't even be something aimed at me, but in my extra sensitive, highly sensitive state, I would take that comment and I would run with it. And then I felt so low and so bad and so down and have such a massive crash that was my introvertedness coming out. It was my highly sensitive state, and I didn't know how to control it, and I didn't know what it was, and so I let it run my life. Again, self-reflection, maturity, knowing, intuitiveness, the growth that I've had, that has just like totally shown me that I need to stop letting my mind go off and my sensitivities like literally explode and take me somewhere that I don't necessarily want to be, and protect myself again. And so yeah, you may find that you're highly sensitive. You might find that you struggle keeping yourself on an even keel because the roller coaster is like just doing this, and it can be hard. And you have to protect your energy. Number 13. That was deep. Number 13. You can feel alone even in a crowd of people. And there's two sides to this, and I want to talk about them both because I felt them both on many occasions. It may sound really silly, but you can feel totally alone with hundreds and thousands of people surrounding you. And that can be something like you may be at one of these social occasions again that we don't particularly like. You don't have your special person there. You're not sat in the corner recharging. And so you're feeling the energy of the room, and it is oversensitizing you. It's overstimulating you. You have to get out of there, and you can feel so totally alone, even though you're surrounded by everybody, because you feel like an outcast. You feel weird. You feel like you're not the same as everybody else. It's starting to stress you out. And you're just not feeling it. You're not feeling it. You don't like it. And it's filling you with all these feelings that you do not like. That is the time to leave. That is the time to get out of there, to protect yourself. So you can be in a place with thousands and thousands of people but feel so lonely, so totally lonely. But on the flip side, and again, relaying this to my own situation, I've already said I love cities and I love the busyness and I love the buzz. But I guess even more so than that, Anfield is my spiritual home. You know, if you know me, you'll have heard me talk about this before. I adore that place. And when I'm sat there, when I'm lucky enough to get there, I'm surrounded by 50,000 people. And I don't feel alone in the slightest. But it's because I'm comfy. I am doing something that fills my cup. I am doing something that makes me feel amazingly stimulated as opposed to hyper overly stimulated. And it's my happy place. And so, you know, there is a subtle difference. There's a subtle difference. And I've felt it on both sides of the busyness scale. And number 14, the final sign that you may well be an extrovert is that you are quiet, not shy. There is a big difference. It is such a common misconception that people, if you're introverted or you see yourself as an introvert, that you actually are shy. It's not true. I do not profess to be shy. Not anymore. Not now. I used to be, I think. But I also think that was maybe a part of me not feeling comfortable in my own body and not having the confidence, not having that maturity and that self-reflective process that I've talked about throughout this. I'm not shy. I don't perceive myself. I don't see myself as shy anymore. It's different. It's totally different. I feel comfortable in my own skin now, and I think that is why I don't feel that I'm shy anymore. But I'm definitely an introvert. I like to be with people. I like to be in places. I like to do things like this, to put myself out there. I can do this stuff and it actually fills me with joy. If I was shy, probably wouldn't be able to do that quite so easily, but I can still feel overstimulated and I can still feel the sensitivities and I can still feel all those things that make me an introvert as opposed to being shy. And if you are an introvert but you don't see yourself as a shy person, you'll get this totally. You'll understand, absolutely understand what I'm saying. So, it's been a long one today and I hope you're still with me. If you are, yay, hooray, thank you. I love you, it's fantastic. But they are my 14 signs that you may well just be an introvert. And if you see yourself in any of those statements, in any of those things that I've said, yeah, embrace it. Embrace the introvert because we're amazing people. We're not the quiet, meek, mild, shy, timid people that society, that's the box society wants to put us in. We are not that at all. I am not that. So embrace the sensitivity, embrace the feeling, embrace the energy, embrace the love of being alone, the solitude, the time that you need to just step away from society and just be. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to live when you can be totally comfortable in your own company, totally at home in your own company. So yeah, you're not weird. You're actually pretty amazing. And there are a lot of us. There are a lot of us that are introverts. And I love it, actually. I would much rather be the introvert than the extrovert right now that I've had the beauty of what I know and what I've experienced and what I do. And so that's my 14 signs. If you are one of us, say hello. Leave me a comment. Let me know which bit of this resonated with you. And I hope it was helpful for some of you that maybe were struggling a little bit with this.